So we just had the announcement for the Nintendo Direct that we knew was coming this June that Nintendo told us about earlier, and I thought I'd give you my thoughts of what I think we might see there and what I hope to see there. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So you can see the information here put out by Nintendo about when the Nintendo Direct is. So make sure you note the date and time here and put that on your calendar. They probably already have the video up on their channel. You can just hit the notify me over on YouTube. But first I thought I'd mention what we're not going to see at this Direct. We're not going to see the Switch 2 or whatever Nintendo ends up calling it. And we know that because of the post that Nintendo made back in May here where they said, we will make an announcement about the successor to Nintendo Switch within this fiscal year. It will have been over 9 years since we announced the existence of Nintendo Switch back in March 2015. We will be holding a Nintendo Direct this June regarding the Nintendo Switch software lineup for the latter half of 2024, but please be aware there will be no mention of the Nintendo Switch successor during that presentation. Now let's take a look at some, I guess you could say, long-term rumors that just haven't panned out yet. First, let's look at Luigi's Mansion. So we're getting Luigi's Mansion 2 HD on June 27th. And there's been speculation that the first game would just get sort of an upgrade for the Switch. Now this was originally a launch title for the GameCube, so that's something they could just kind of dress up, maybe add some widescreen support, maybe a few higher res textures, and off you go. So there's hope that we might see the first game sort of get shadow dropped here, at least digitally, kind of like we saw Metroid Prime. And with Luigi's Mansion 2 coming out on the 27th, this would make the entire series playable on the Switch. And another long-term rumor we've been hearing is Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, and there's been talks that that might come out in like a twin pack. And I've been hearing about these games for years now, but it's not unlike Nintendo to hold on to finished products and basically just plug them into a schedule where they have a hole. And now that it looks like the Switch 2 is not going to be out until probably March of next year, it would make sense for them to kind of pull these out and plug some hole in between now and say Christmas. And if they do that, I don't think that these would be like a shadow drop, at least digitally. I think that they're going to wait and release those later in the year, say maybe that September time frame. I guess just depending on what else they may have on their schedule. Next, let's look at some games that have either gotten like a trademark filed or perhaps they've gotten some rating in a certain region. And first we'll take a look at Pushmo. Now Pushmo was a puzzle game that was developed by Intelligent Systems for the 3DS. And from what I remember, the game was only available in downloadable form. It was never put out physically. So a physical release of this game, or maybe even the collection of games, because I think there's like Crashmo and Stretchmo and Pushmo World. Having that entire collection available in physical form on the Switch would be pretty nice to have. Well, what makes us think that we may see these games or this collection get released? Well, in Japan, back in March, there was trademarks filed for Stretchmo and Pushmo. Now these could always just be renewals. But as recently as last week, Intelligent Systems updated their website, and you can see here that they gave a whole new section just to Pushmo, which is a bit of an odd thing to do for a dormant series. Now around the same time that Pushmo got a new trademark filed in Japan, so did Kirby and the Rainbow Curse. Now this is a Wii U game that was developed by HAL Laboratories, and it did make a lot of use of that tablet for the Wii U. And you basically move Kirby across a level by drawing rainbow colored lines on the touchscreen. So I'm not sure how this would translate into docked mode, but obviously it would work fine in handheld. And then we have a third trademark filed around the same time as these other two, which is for Mario vs. Donkey Kong Tipping Stars. Now we just had that remake of Mario vs. Donkey Kong get released for the Switch, so I'm not sure if we're going to see a second one of these games get announced that quickly. But Mario vs. Donkey Kong Tipping Stars was a Wii U game, so it's something that they should be able to port to the Switch pretty quickly. And if we end up seeing Pushmo or Kirby and the Rainbow Curse get announced, I wouldn't be surprised if Mario vs. Donkey Kong Tipping Stars won't be too far behind. That's something that could fill in a gap in early 2025 while we're waiting for the Switch 2 to release. And the last one in this group is a game that got a PEGI rating in Europe, and that is House of the Dead 2 Remake. And you can see here that it was rated for the Switch. And if you remember back in 2022, the first House of the Dead was a timed exclusive for the Switch. So seeing sort of the same thing maybe set up here with this rating just being on the Switch, and then I imagine House of the Dead 2 Remake will come to other platforms at a later time. And one other game I thought I'd mention here, piggybacking off of House of the Dead 2 Remake, is Panzer Dragoon 2 Remake. If you remember, Forever Entertainment did the first Panzer Dragoon Remake back in 2020. Well, back in 2021, they had this deleted tweet that said that they would have Panzer Dragoon 2 Remake out in 2021. And we've not seen anything about that game since, and they obviously deleted the tweet. So I do have to wonder if we'll finally see this released, but since Forever Entertainment seems to be working on the House of the Dead 2 Remake, I'm thinking Panzer Dragoon 2 may be a little further out, that maybe that project got pushed back. But it's still something to keep an eye out for. Now some other, I guess you could say, leaks that I've seen floated out there is one, we might see Live Alive 2 get released. The creator of the series, Takashi Tokita, has said that he would like to make a sequel to the game, and that there were plans for a sequel back in the DS era. So considering how Live Alive has sold over 500,000 units worldwide, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a sequel. Now this leak or rumor, whichever way you want to look at it, comes from Midori, which that whole situation's a thing into itself, but there's been some credibility concerns there, but I thought I'd mention it anyways. But the other game that was hinted at by Midori is a Zelda game that was codenamed Edward. Now I have no idea if this would be related to Twilight Princess or Wind Waker, but this seems to be a completely different project. Now I do remember seeing the patent for that dungeon maker that's in Link's Awakening on the Switch get updated recently. I think that would be kind of cool if they had a whole dedicated Zelda maker, kind of like they have with Mario Maker. But I guess we'll just have to kind of wait and see if this does come true and what game this is. Now the other leaker out there was Brazil, who said that we would see a Nintendo Direct Tuesday morning of the 18th. Now this is interesting only in the fact that there was a trailer spotted for an update for Among Us that's supposed to drop on the 18th before that trailer was pulled down, which makes many people speculate that we will see some type of shadow drop for Among Us, probably some maybe DLC in this Nintendo Direct. Now a game that I kind of see as maybe a long shot at appearing at this Nintendo Direct is Beyond Good and Evil 2. Now the only reason that I mention this is that some people are wondering if we'll see this at the Direct because we just saw some trophies for the PlayStation version show up. Now there's been reports that this game has had a lot of development issues. Apparently the original director mismanaged the project, and then another director suddenly passed away in 2023. And then another game that's sort of made some recent news is Dragon Quest HD 2D Remake, or should we say remakes. Just a few weeks ago we had that teaser trailer for Dragon Quest HD 2D, and I did a whole video on that, kind of breaking down how that teaser is about Dragon Quest at least 3 HD 2D Remake. Well, since that teaser trailer was released a couple of weeks ago, there's been rumors that we'll see this be a full trilogy of all 3 games. Now, it may be that we just see the 3rd game get remade here and we have the 1st and 2nd one come at a later date. But considering how short these games were compared to games now, it would make sense to just do all 3 of them at once. But I do feel like there'll be a strong possibility we'll see Dragon Quest HD 2D Remake, whatever it be, the 3rd game or an entire trilogy, at this Nintendo Direct. And then finally, the game we talk about every time a Nintendo Direct comes up, and that's Metroid Prime 4. I feel like I should just let out a big sigh here. And it has now been over 7 years since the game was originally announced. Now, it did get restarted when it moved to Retro Studios as the developer. But is it time that we actually see this game at this Nintendo Direct? My heart wants to say yes, but my mind says probably not. And I think the only reason why I'm holding out right here is because Nintendo usually has another Direct in September timeframe. And I do feel like if we do see Metroid Prime 4 this year, we won't see it until September. But then again, I second guess myself to think, well, if they're going to try to build up hype for that game, if it gets released, say, in November to be their big holiday game, it seems like they would want to go ahead and start the hype train now. And of course, there are rumors that Metroid Prime 4 is going to be a cross-gen title, and if that's the case, we won't see the game until 2025. And if that's the case, we won't see it at this Direct because we're not going to see any Switch 2 news. So I feel like the odds are in my favor to say we won't see Metroid Prime 4 here, but I think I'm also saying that, so I hope that I'm wrong. But what do you think about all the games I've listed here? I think even if we see just 25% of these, this would be a massive Direct. So I wouldn't hold out hopes that we see everything that we covered here, but they are games that I think are being worked on and that we may see sometime in the future. But let me know which games you would like to see at this Nintendo Direct, and let me know if there's any games that I may have left out here. Drop a comment below and let me know your thoughts. And if you liked the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed yet, consider doing so. It really does help the channel out quite a bit. I want to thank you for watching, and be good.